Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back.
All right, we're getting close to the end of the year.
Agency exposed.
And year-end
2021.
episode, maybe, depending on when you
Yeah, this
listen to
this is probably gonna be the year-end episode.
Do you feel exposed?
I feel awkward.
Oh, really? That's something we need to talk about.
What'd you try to say?
I don't know. I didn't say anything.
You know, we had our team Christmas party yesterday.
How was it?
It was great. It was like because last year was like a water. Nah, it wasn't watered down, but it was like a 2020 version of it.
Right.
And so we went to a vineyard last year, which was fun. We brought a bunch of food and that kind of thing.
Oh.
But we didn't have everyone together. It wasn't as much. We always do. We would always do like typically we turn the entire office house because our office is a house. We're in the attic right now. It's an old 1920s house. So we'll turn this whole thing into like it's like there'll be a little craft cocktail bartender that kind of thing. There'll be like other
Party
food,
house.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, like a sophisticated, hipster party house.
Yeah, party house.
And you guys have both been there. And then we'll unveil the wow, words are not easy right now. We'll unveil the theme for the following year.
Cool.
So what is it?
Wait, did you give it away, the theme this year?
So the theme for this year is the same as the theme for last year because the supply chain issues. I never got the merch, and it's so much more relevant.
Yeah.
So we can, I did. So I did.
Do you
an
need
episode
somebody
on
to wear a T-shirt for you to
yeah.
express this?
I have.
We should do some giveaways.
Yeah.
Maybe I can put it on the screen right here. Maybe it can be superimposed right here.
Yeah.
This is the graphic. It's winter is my season.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hate that.
Yeah, and it's this idea, but the
Summer's my season.
Yeah, winter is my season. It's when most people see winter, and we're in a winter, and we're looking forward at a winter, and most people see winter, and they're scared. They see uncertainty, and that's normal. But if you can be one of the rare few that see it as opportunity,
Oh, I get it.
Because
So there's a
you've
little story
planned.
behind that message. You
And
can
everyone is
for
bundling
sure.
down and inside.
yeah,
You guys are out.
no. And so the graphic, as you can see. Well, I don't know if Jeremy's going to transpose it on here, but there's a graphic and it's a kind of stark winter scene, but there's a window around it. It's the window of opportunity.
Oh,
Nice.
I like the story around that.
It is.
So if you look outside and don't if you look outside and you see fear, you're scared.
Ooh.
Like think of the opportunity. Everyone sees fear, right?
Yeah.
Not Bob. Brad.
I don't see fear. I just see cold.
No.
I
Well,
see fear. Sometimes.
You buy on fear, don't you, in the stock market?
Yes.
I try not to. No, I try to keep my emotions out of my investments.
No. When people are fearful.
Oh yeah, I buy. They call
Buy the
it
blood.
Buy the blood. When everybody thinks bleeding, you buy. You have
And
money on the
that's-
side to buy. In.
That's an investing principle.
Correct. Opportunity.
And the idea of, but that's winter, and so
Yeah,
we look at winter, and we're all in a winter, and so that's kind of anyway. We had our Christmas party. We unveiled that again, but it was actually with some actual
Products.
visuals,
Some
visual
merch.
things.
Awesome. Well, we should do a giveaway on the show. And
Yeah.
get some free,
How about this?
free T-shirts.
What do we want them to do to get a "Winter is my season" sweatshirt?
Wow. What do you think,
Ooh.
Brad?
Well-
do you think maybe
An $80 sweatshirt, really nice.
I think
Boom.
maybe they post something on social.
All right, yeah.
using the
Tag us.
hashtag, two hashtags they have to use.
Promote
Winter
one
is
of-
my season
Okay,
and Agency Exposed podcast.
there you go.
And we'll find somebody on
Yeah.
social who's posted it.
One of you guys will
and-
get it.
Yep.
And somebody will get it. And
We will scan the
we'll reach out to
hashtag.
them.
Yeah, we'll give you 1 week from the posting of this episode.
What's the hashtags again? One more time.
Winter is my hashtag. Winter is my season and hashtag Agency Exposed podcast.
Yes, and try to promote one of the shows that you thought was helpful for you.
Hopefully this one.
Yeah, maybe this one.
Fantastic.
So do that. We'll pick one. We'll get a winner. And then we'll send you an awesome Winter is my season sweatshirt for 2020.
from Medicake.
From Medicake, from Agency
Yes.
Exposed. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
anyway, that's what we did yesterday.
Wow.
That was yesterday for us.
2022.
It's coming.
I can't even say it.
I know. You think about like everything's measured by COVID-19. You think about 2019, like it seems like such a long time
The
ago.
end of an era.
I know. Now we're in 2022. It's going to be a good year, guys.
I have a feeling that it is. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a feeling it's going to be a bad year. So let's just give that caveat. But I don't know. Something about 2022 feels fresh, different, new. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
There's
new
lots
season.
the technology is like radically shifting.
Radically fast.
Shifting. And I think with, we're coming out of almost 2 years of COVID. So I'm sure that'll be with us for a while, but I think people's minds are shifting in certain ways. Businesses have radically shifted.
Yeah.
This work from anywhere mode has enabled people to migrate across the country.
Yeah.
That's just one reason, but cities are changing. Lots of things are changing. So
For the better. I mean, there's been a lot of pain, but there's pain in transition, and we were forced to transition, and I think there's a lot of benefits as well. Winter is my season. Like, what do you do in winter? You prepare in winter. You train in winter. You got a telemarketer calling you.
Telemarketers calling me. Amazing.
That's great. You look for the opportunities because you've planned, because you're that person, and things change. And then after winter, what happens? There's spring.
Yeah. And the thing about winter too is there's special equipment and clothing and preparation.
Like the winter is my season sweatshirt.
Yeah, exactly. You ruined my metaphor.
Available online.
I gotta see one of these before I leave today.
So thinking of 2022,
What's your window of opportunity in 2022?
2022?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what we've been seeing in the last few months. November, as we doing reporting, everybody kind of took a hit when it came to advertising, digital advertising, both more on Facebook than anything, but also on Google, e-commerce. Obviously, it was Thanksgiving week. But I think what it did is it really began to start that engine that has been coming for the whole year now. We've been talking about it, about what does digital marketing look like in the near future. And so, for instance, we had a client that was ramping up really, really strong, selling kind of a $17 to $25 product. So wasn't high profit margin, but got hit really, really hard in the Facebook adjustments, pixels, OS, all of the things that's changed, and really had to make some radical changes to his business. Helped him shift over to Amazon. It's doing great there, but again, the profit margin on Amazon with that low price to product again is not great. So I think in general, it's just helping clients rethink what they've come to be used to the last several years is like, okay, this is what we do. This is a lever we pull and the buttons we push. And now they're all going, whoa, am I going to survive?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that dire yet, but I think as marketers, as leaders, we really have to be thinking ahead. So I think we're going to want to talk some about that today. Just like what's the future of marketing? And we've talked about that all the time, but just putting 21 behind us and preparing for 2022. What do you guys think? What are you going to prioritize in your business?
I mean, I think about that a lot. There's a lot of changes in business, as you mentioned, and we're seeing, in a lot of ways, it even out. So like we're digital led for so long, because it's kind of like it's a hot thing right now. It's like in a mature phase. I think it kind of evens out with other things and starts to balance. For our business, we do a lot of service, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what agencies do. We kind of call ourselves like a hybrid agency. We're moving heavily, over the last, this actually started in 2019, then put on pause, and now we've picked it back up. We're moving into a capital arm of our business. And that's really exciting. And so we're, because we have the experience and ability in the e-commerce space and the access, because our position with network and those kind of things, we're working with acquiring companies in that e-commerce space, or companies that are looking to leverage e-commerce and growing that portfolio. And that's everything from acquisition to supplying some capital to fund growth initiatives. And we're just beginning to merge the two sides of our business. And that's kind of the exciting thing. And I'll probably, officially announce that in the next, probably early in the year. But that is a part of our business.
We can announce it and start taking pitches for.
We can announce it, and that's what we do. You can, if anyone that's listening to this wants to reach out to me, that's a big part of our 2022 initiative and what we're doing, working with investors and other people, just kind of looking to make a bigger difference with our skill set in that space. And what also we're moving into is again. Our thing is e-com. But we've talked about blockchain and how it changes things and is changing marketing. And we're moving into that blockchain crypto era. And we're actually doing our first NFT marketplace.
Nice.
Right now.
So you building one or just for a client or for yourselves or?
For, it's a partnership actually. It's a client
What
partnership.
kind of NFTs are you talking about? Is it art?
I don't think I can say because I'm not allowed to.
All right.
But all NFT is like some version of art. So yeah, it's in the art. It's in the art. But I'd say it's more grown up.
Okay. All right.
Than well, I look, because we're in this, I look at the top NFTs collection and things like that. And it's funny because it's very video game, right?
Okay.
And this is different than that.
Okay.
So
exciting times.
So yeah, moving into e-commerce, blockchain, that kind of thing. It's just interesting. So Brad, I'm gonna kick it to you. What do you see in the future?
Well, I see this next year as partnering with some other agencies from around the country. It's been helpful for us because we're, from our size and what we specialize in, it's helpful to work to go after larger accounts and some interesting business where we can partner with other agencies. And so that's kind of where we're kind of putting our focus, as well as, one of the things that we're trying to do is to kind of re-educate educate clients on, more traditional marketing tactics and why, lifetime value and branding and things that, it's becoming harder and harder. We've talked about this in the past, to see the instant return on investment on a lot of ad spend and things. And so we're really trying to look at different markets and different industries and say, okay, this isn't even, you shouldn't expect this. And if you did expect it from the past, you got lucky, because it's not really, as a whole, it's not a holistic strategy to your marketing and advertising. And so trying to re-educate people and trying to put resources and things that might, are a little bit more of the long game than the very short game that a lot of companies, especially new companies and startups, want to play the short game because they need instant revenue and they want to have instant return on investment. But, being a competitive brand, you've got to look at the long game and what that takes. And they're not used to it because they may have never done it before and what that looks like. So just trying to re-educate, trying to reprioritize some of our clients' spending and looking at different opportunities, I think, is what we're looking at. I might, when you ever get your NFT marketplace, let me know.
I will.
I bought my first NFT a few weeks ago, and I'm even. I bought a friend of mine. He created a whole series, So I've got a limited. It's not one of a kind NFT, but there's only going to be 30 of them, and I think 15 of them are already sold. So once everything's sold out, then I think maybe the price might go up, and I'll just hold for a long time. But I don't know when this happened, but I think in the last week or two, Snoop Dogg has developed a Snoopverse. Have you heard about this?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so somebody just
it's gonna be so chill.
It's a virtual world. It's this, talking about the metaverse. It's this virtual world, and somebody paid $500,000 to have the property right next door to him. So he can say for $500,000 he actually lives right next door to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And it's an NFT play. And so, the metaverse, what people a lot of times don't talk about is the metaverse and cryptocurrencies are really going to be, are going to be used together in this next metaverse. So the metaverse is not just participating, but the metaverse is actually owning, right? It's owning property, and where are advertisers going to participate? Are advertisers going to buy things, and are we going to be able to go into Snoopverse and look around and there's ads and there's billboards?
Sure.
So there's going to be virtual billboards that people are paying for and things. So as an advertiser, we can definitely see that there's going to be some really cool opportunities. At the same time,
just let me pause you for a second, because you know in those old school games where you'd like have a game inside of a game,
yeah,
right?
Mini games.
So yeah, mini games, like you'd like be doing this thing. I forget the name. Like I don't know. Those like they're those really kind of older. It's kind of like you're walking around trying to find stuff, unlock mysteries and those kind of things. Then you walk up to a little computer and then you can play a game. I feel like with the metaverse, you think there'll be like a Facebook,
a game
inside
within a game within
the metaverse.
Game. Exactly.
And then before you know it, you're sitting at a computer in the metaverse doing what you normally do, sitting at a computer.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like, I mean, right now, obviously there's video games and there's even ads in video games. I mean, you know, it started with like these old school driving games where they had, you know, you drove and you passed by ads, real ads in the game, but the ability to be able to purchase and directly purchase ad space, so there's no middleman from that actual advertising who owns that, right? So now I can come in there and buy something from somebody else, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity of this virtual land and virtual space. But my question is with that again is where, you know, when are we going to live in the real world? You know, we understand that there's, man, I can't imagine. They talk about mental health just in social and gaming in the gaming world today. I believe that's just going to take things to the next level, and that's one of my concerns. Is that we're all talking about this as this is the next thing, and it's awesome. You know, you have Zuckerberg doing these videos.
Weird
in
videos.
In my mind, they're a little dorky, but maybe I'm just not the demographic.
Dorky.
But I don't trust Zuck at all. Number one, I don't think he's. Again, I think you and I talked about this. To me, he's not like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. Those are visionaries. He's more like Bill Gates, who's an opportunist. He's an opportunist. He doesn't really create anything too crazy.
And that gets a negative connotation.
And that's not a bad thing.
I'm not saying he's a good guy, but I'm saying like being an opportunist is most business people.
Yeah.
Right? You see an opportunity, you create a business around it. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that it's bad because of that, but I don't see him as
different than doing something because you see so passionately that this is.
I think the problem. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying they're different. Visionaries. I think a lot of people call themselves visionaries, or we think maybe a lot more people are than actually are.
Yeah, they're just
right.
I think part of the problem with the whole Zuck thing is, you know, he has gotten such a bad rap, and much of it is legitimate, meaning. Facebook and Instagram's grown, you know, so fast, they dominate, and now we're seeing the effects of it, right? It's negative. And so he's having to backpedal. So, but I think the problem is not only that, but I just want to say to everyone listening, the metaverse does not equal Facebook. Facebook doesn't own the metaverse. They're trying to
buy the metaverse, associate
it and buy
with
it.
sheer money, because that's what they have.
I just recently wrote an article on LinkedIn and where I defined it, and I'm not saying this is the definition, but I just want to explain. So what is the metaverse? It's a collective virtual shared space created by the convergence of virtually enhanced physical reality and physically persistent virtual space, including the sum of all virtual worlds, augmented reality, and the internet. So what that means,
it's kind of like version 2 of like the Internet of Things.
Well,
right? Remember that?
When you're a kid, we all have kids, and Brad probably, since we have teenagers, we see it more than you do. But my son has a Switch. He also has an Xbox, right? Well, his friends have PlayStations. So more and more games cross those lines, and he can play with all of them. So the real company that did this, kind of leading the way on it, is Epic, right? With Fortnite. So you could get on Xbox, and then get on your Switch or get on your iPhone, and that is the metaverse. Meaning you don't have to have virtual reality headphone goggles on and then go into this alternative space. The metaverse is when you're on your Switch and you're driving in a car on a trip to wherever on vacation, you're still using your same Fortnite account as you would as your friends who are back at home on their Xbox. And then in that environment, you play, you can talk, you can have this social interaction. Oh, and by the way, Ford advertises with a virtual Ford F-150 that you can buy with your virtual bucks to drive around in. And Wendy's has their own character that looks remarkably like their mascot that's playing in that, sponsored by Wendy's. That's what we're talking about, the metaverse. So it's a convergence of all type of things online that might be the internet on your laptop today that then transfers the same document over to your iPhone. Oh, and by the way, in a year from now, you'll have glasses that help you with your shopping when you go to the grocery store or to the mall.
Yeah.
Like that is what we're talking about. We're not talking about just virtual reality.
Yeah.
Which is really just the gaming side of it.
Right. Gamification.
Right? Because
But there's practical sides too.
No, I'm saying the idea like you step into a virtual world. I don't know. To me, that's all classified as gaming.
Sure.
Unless,
Like even if you're just hanging out with people.
unless it's like a travel experience where you're going to some place that you've never been before, and it's more of a realistic experience of actually being there. You
Yeah.
know?
The 3D or, immersive or
Yeah.
2D, 3D, 4D, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's important just to say, okay, I think we're a decades away from it being totally immersive.
Yeah.
But what's fueling the fire, in my opinion, of all of this right now is not only gaming, but it's the acceptance and the investment into the Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency, NFTs. That's fueling the metaverse
Absolutely.
because there's an acceptance and there's money behind it.
Yes.
So we've all been in a position. I think this is the practical discussion here, which I don't think we discussed before, is like as agencies and marketing and development and all kinds of the technology consultants that we end up being. There's going to be a point where businesses who typically are slow to adopt these things are starting to ask questions about them, right? Just like they were about the internet, about e-commerce, about digital ads, like over the last 20 years, right? That's going to happen here. And probably I've already had those conversations. And so maybe we could talk, what are your guys' ideas for how a business, mid-size, whatever, the typical business, maybe not the biggest one in the world, but like the businesses that come asking for help, that are asking about how do we utilize what, the crypto or the metaverse, and they're throwing out essentially buzz terms. Like, what does that look like? How do you start to lead them in that right direction? How do you start to coach them in that?
I think the metaverse will force us as marketers to really focus on valuable, intense experiences for our clients. That will be the future of marketing.
So it's like, instead of, one idea is like, okay, we used to do a lot of musician stuff, right? Each one would have a microsite, right, for the tour or whatever. You can go there, you can have an immersive experience, see videos, those kind of things. It's like that in a different, much more immersive in this new era.
The example I gave of Wendy's, they did this a couple of years ago. Wendy's saw millions and millions of kids and young adults playing Fortnite. Okay, hours and hours a day on it, and they're immersed in it, and they're playing, and they're talking, and they're communicating, and they're sharing things beyond the game. They're talking about their lives. They're talking about just, hey, let's get together, or how was school sucked today, blah blah blah. Wendy's went to Epic and said, can we have a character inside that game? And can we make it look cool? But when people see it, they're like, oh, she's redheaded with the red braid, and maybe she doesn't kill or shoot people, but maybe she, fortifies them with hamburgers or something, like to bring them back to life. I don't, something like that.
She kills people with hamburgers, but
yeah.
Their hamburgers don't
So
kill.
to me, that some agency, working with Wendy's and said, what is the market? Where are they? Yeah. What's the immersive experience that you join in the narration, the narrative of what's going on?
I think the metaverse is I think there's going to be a cost of entry initially that's going to be pretty steep, and that those are big brands are going to enter the metaverse first, obviously.
Absolutely.
But I think from a small business or a small client, I think, I think that will happen. And I think it's going to become more and more the localized. It's like buying local search ads or something. You know what I mean? Everything's going to be, there's going to be a price for different, from geo targets to everything. So if I'm playing in the metaverse, I might see different ads than you might see, Bob, based on where I'm located and everything else like that. And once there's a platform to automate the ads so that I can purchase areas and maybe even purchase them from all, so now it becomes a marketplace that's a worldwide marketplace in the metaverse. I may actually purchase them from an individual. It's like a domain name. Like I can go out and get a domain name, right? And all of a sudden I get a big advertiser says, I want that domain name. I'll buy it for you for $20,000. Okay, I paid, $19.95 for it. Or whatever. And so I see this but it's going to be, I think, purchased with probably more of a digital currency. And it could be a digital currency that, I know Facebook talked about this digital currency a couple of years ago that they're going to come out with. And maybe different metaverses may have their own crypto, which is actually right now happening, right? Some of the more lucrative crypto gains have been from gaming tokens. And so the gaming tokens can all be swapped so that if you're on a platform, you can easily swap in their currency for whatever, for some other currency that you own, digital cryptocurrency, even Bitcoin maybe. And so I think that's going to explode pretty quickly. And, I think as small businesses, I think you just got to keep up to date with it and keep on board so that when it does become something, and again, most local advertisers won't spend money unless there's a lot of people in that world that meet their demographic anyway. So, understanding the demographic and understanding their behaviorals and other things like that are going to be important. So,
what do you think? What are some practical steps that agencies can take to educate themselves on? Again, it may not be. I watched that Zuck video. Yeah. It seems so cheesy.
Yeah.
It may not be. I think to a lot of people's standpoint, I think what would be much more practical and awesome, and probably a part of it is the ability to have meta information, not metaverse, but meta information, additional information as you're going through your life. Like you have on your phone, but maybe a little more integrated. That's kind of. But anyway, how do agencies start educating themselves? And even I would say education is probably not enough. I think you got to do stuff.
I think it's a mindset,
right? Yeah. So that you're ready for it.
It's a mindset of personalization, hyperconnectivity, and I also maybe starting one way that businesses can get involved is really starting to personalize every single customer. I know you guys do this in e-commerce, and there are lots of tools out there. Is how do you make what you do as a business feel more like a unique experience on Amazon? Meaning, how can you segment your customers? Just go back to basic 101, but in the digital world, know what they purchase, know what their lifetime value is, know what time of year they purchased this product, what color of product they have. And then integration of artificial intelligence. I know, people are scared of that, but that's part of the personalization is, I think, in the metaverse, as it progresses, we're going to have our own, instead of someone on the phone answering, "Hey, how can I help you?" It's going to be personalized in your e-commerce environment, saying, "Hey, I see you just bought that red sweater, but you're having trouble checking out. Can I help you buy this red sweater? Oh, this would look really nice with that red sweater too. Have you seen our jeans over here?" That there's technology, maybe not that sophisticated that you can afford yet, but there's technology that I think businesses need to be looking at.
I'm going to put you on the spot because I want to ask you this because I think this would be an interesting answer. If you were faced with this, like shuttle back 15 years, I remember when we were working together and the iPhone just came out, and you're like, "We need a nap." I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it's going to be. We need a nap, right? And so we built this app.
There's an app for that.
It was a marketing. It was the BuzzPlant marketing crystal ball or whatever it was. Right. All you did was shake it, and it would give you a new marketing thing. And it was just really to show people that we could do apps. And when no one even knew how to put hands around what an app can do, why would I want it? Like that was still kind of nascent. So if this was you then, what would you be doing?
Gosh, like like the metaverse now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we kind of are now.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. I think exactly what I'm talking about is I'd be integrating in planning for having.
Would you build a digital storefront in Zuck's metaverse?
I don't think so. I think Zuck. We'll back up and then I'll back into answer your question. I think Zuck is the dad joke of the metaverse.
No, I agree with that. I'm just using that as an example.
But my point
Well,
is,
he's hijacking it, obviously.
Well,
and
no,
trying to brand
he's
it
trying to
with
buy
face.
it. He's trying to buy it.
where I think it's important to not discount him is in the metaverse, he will be like the Walmart, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll go and he'll be the big 800-pound gorilla that you can go in and out of.
Yeah.
But there's going to be lots of other choices, right? But anyway, all of that to say, would I go there first and partner with him? Or I think now as an older, more mature person, I think I would put the things in place and start to invest in the technology that I can port over, because that AI technology now that I invested in might look like 5-10 years from now as a virtual character that walks around and helps people in my virtual store. And I'll be that far along. And I would tie it to some sort of NFT, crypto something right now. That's a great question. I think it's still too early in the metaverse to make definites. But I would definitely start investing in gamification of what I'm doing.
There was, I'm working on a few projects where there are coins associated with them, and people talking about, hey, launching a coin to back this thing and that kind of stuff. And it's a little bit, for a lot of people, it's kind of like a novelty, It comes like a lot of people think about it that way, and a lot of people are, there's a lot of talk and probably 1% of actual need for it. But I was thinking in my head, I'm like, would we ever launch a Medicaid coin? And then in my Google, I get these, those emails where they call them Google terms, where they search for your name, and they send you all the new listings and stuff. Somebody launched a Medicaid coin.
Oh, really?
I'm not kidding.
Oh, boy.
It's garbage.
Is it named after you guys or something? They just have the name.
I think
What's it on?
Stole her name.
Sushi Swap or some other type of...
I have no idea. It's not doing well. It's brand new. Maybe I don't know if we can. It's a little bit weird, but anyway, point is I was wondering, like, if it was back in the Buzzplan era, would you be launching a Buzzplan coin?
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's...
I don't know.
It's really difficult for me right now to say, hey, where are we going to be until there's an opportunity that we can get involved with in that space. And I think, right now, some of our clients are, struggling just to produce the level of content that you need,
Yes.
For some of the social platforms and being relevant on those social platforms, let alone, looking at diving into different types of software that, in a 3D space, if that's the case or whatever. So I think it's just keeping up on it and making sure that when there is an opportunity, and Facebook might be the first one because they're going to throw a lot of money at it. I don't know. I think Apple's going to come around the corner pretty quick too, because they got these new glasses that are coming out, and I think theirs to me is a little more of a hybrid. It's
That's actually what I'm looking forward to.
A game and more of a reality with augmented
Yes.
information. That's what I'm looking forward to, because but it's also my demographic. I'm not into games. I don't want to live like. So Steve Jobs said one thing that always resonated with me. He said, Don't try to sell something based on features. Sell them on how that product will change somebody's life. And Zuckerberg did that video. He never showed how it's going to change people's life. It was just for entertainment for the most part. It was just features. It wasn't, how was that really going to change my life?
For the better.
For the better.
I think you'd be challenged to make that argument that it would be for the better.
Yeah.
And that's the
yeah. And so, if I have these new pair of Apple goggles and I'm walking across the road and there's a speeding car, right? These glasses are going to know there's something coming at me at a very, very fast rate, right? If I'm just dreaming here a little bit, go with me. And all of a sudden it warns me that there's a car coming around the corner I did not see with my own eyes. That's going to save my life. That's going to add value to my life. That's going to change my life, And so I think that is more exciting to me, is living in the real world with some augmentation that gives you information that you just normally, your body can't create itself.
Yeah, I would agree. And I just want to throw out a piece of helpful, something that I discovered a couple years ago, I've been following from a distance. There's a lot of positive things that this will help to transform. And specifically, you mentioned mental health.
Yeah.
One way that a lot of universities and psychologists and doctors have been studying for the last probably 3-4 years is treatment of mental health inside of a virtual reality world. Because in mental health, this is just one example, but I think we're going to see some explosions in both positive and negative. But on the positive, I would say in mental health, it's really important to get in counseling and therapy for people to see themselves in third person, meaning get outside yourself and observe what's really going on. That's really what a therapist is trying to get a person to. They're trying to get them, okay, see what you're really thinking, observe your thoughts, and really rationally think through what's going on inside of you. It's really hard for us to get there, but when we get there, that's when transformation takes place, because then we can see, oh, I've got some faulty thinking, and I'm going to recognize it when it starts to happen, and I'm going to catch myself, and I'm going to rewire that. Imagine there's you're being able to see yourself in that environment. So let me give you the scenario. They've been doing this I think it's somewhere in Spain. I think there's a university in Barcelona that's been doing these experiments. So you walk into a virtual environment, you have your virtual, and sitting across, and you walk into this nicely wood paneled office. And sitting at the desk is a guy that kind of looks like Freud or like the old professor type, right? He says, "Hello, Brad, how are you?" And of course, you speak with him, and he says, "Tell me about your issue." And so someone's guiding you through this, and then you say something of I'm having a problem processing my mom's passing, and I feel guilty because blah blah blah, whatever it is. And he says, "Okay, what do you think is the answer to that?" And then, of course, all of a sudden, the perspective changes. Okay. Then all of a sudden, you're sitting in the guy's seat, and you are the doctor, and you see yourself coming through the door, and you say, "Hey, Brad, what's happening?" And you hear yourself say, "I'm having trouble, blah blah blah," and you're watching yourself say this.
Wow.
And then you say, "Okay. What do you think is the answer here? What do you think is going on?" And then all of a sudden, you are outside of yourself, seeing yourself, and then you can then rationally say, "Man, this is the problem here." You understand? And so they're having great success with that, and people dealing with things. And
so it's essentially replaying back what you said,
but in a virtual.
But you and the other perspective.
Yeah, right? And I think a good psychologist does that. They mirror what you're saying anyway. So eventually you see it come back to you what you're saying. So I think that's an interesting thing. And there's a lot of new therapies now with electric
eye thing.
What's that reads your brain waves and understands like what part of your brains are not firing as well as they need to, and they can do that now with you can buy a home version of that and do that kind of therapy where you start to. So what happens is they think that your mind is like plastic. They call it plastic, and it will quit using a portion that feels like it's been injured based on some emotional time in your life, and so it helps you to retrain to use that area again, and helps you heal and get through some of these little stumbling blocks of just of times that you've had it. Tough times in life or something that's traumatic.
Isn't that the low level electric?
Yeah, it's low level electric. And so, putting that into that environment too, so that, there's things that you can do and see that will help train that as well. And the virtual experience is probably that's going to be the next level. I was
thinking of sports too, and different types of hobbies where you can really get to a point where you can go into the virtual world and actually perform those things. Yeah. Like, I'm running this play and I'm catching the ball over and over and over, because a good visualization, they know that. I
mean, all of us learn visually. People say, "Well, I'm a visual learner." All of us are a visual learner. I think there's more visual learners. I think there's some people that really need all visual to learn. I'm one of those. I have to literally do it to like experience it, and then I'm like, "Oh, okay, I got it."
Yeah.
And
So these worlds will be opening up to us.
Yeah.
But I think getting back to our point here of where do we go as businesses and guide businesses, I think there's going to be, like you've often said, that winter period for many businesses of, oh, you mean I have to stop, using Facebook ads or sending emails just with text only, and because your competitors are going to be playing in different types of spaces now. And there's more spaces available. And I think that's if I could simplify it for clients, this is not about, don't get overwhelmed with the technology. I've always said this. It's not about the technology. It's about the strategy and the plan that works in any technology. So that all we're saying is you're going to have more environments and platforms,
you have more
to play
canvases
in,
to play.
More
in.
canvases.
And if you look at it, you could look at it as a oh man, another thing,
right?
Or you could look at it as like, wow, there's like more room, more canvas for me to be creative as a brand and a business. And the people who thrive are the people that look at that and are like, wow, that's inspiring. And there's a lot of downsides to it, but there's there's a lot of fun aspects to it because technology is fun, and there's like, I have a friend who's involved in a pretty big Silicon Valley endeavor. And something they're doing is they've already launched this in with some sports teams, but they're putting cameras on the players. You can actually go in. You can watch from their perspective.
That's cool.
Which is super
That's cool. Well, they have the refs now have cameras on their bodies for NFL.
So there's
it's fun
those
to
kind
watch.
of things it can be a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a brand, like you think about we do a lot of videos, right? So like it'd be cool if like you could walk into our like cool creator scene and like we could be doing those videos and like you actually be in the audience. That'd be kind of fun.
Going back to your NFL
concerts, those kind of things would be fun.
I think
music.
I think it's only a few years away probably before you can pay to be, that player, and you will experience what he's experienced. The only all he knows is there's a couple little dots on him.
It's all the pain and none of the reward. You mean?
Yeah,
because you're not.
Yeah,
but that'd be kind of cool. I'd pay for that.
It'd be fun to be in that environment where you can choose your player and you can see all their heart rates and everything, and see what they're doing compared to other players at the time, physiologically, and see it from their point of view from a camera and all this stuff. And you're just a lot more of an immersive type of platform. Yeah. There's a lot. Again, I think you and I and all of us here, we're just dreaming a little bit about what's to come, and I don't think Zuck's video did that justice because there's a lot more creative ideas and cool things that are entertaining, but also could add some strong value in your life. And so I'm excited to where it goes. I'm a little concerned about the mental health issues, especially in the gaming environment. And especially that, it could become so immersive that people could lose their identity.
Well, here's the thing though, right? Like the issues don't come, they get exaggerated by the access and the technology, but the issues come from, there's a core issue that we're missing as a society that is whatever that is. It may be discipline, it may be self-health, it may be spirituality, it may be whatever it is. There's an issue that then you add the drug to it or the access to the drug, and that's where it gets abused and it becomes. But the issue, again, a lot of the technology stuff, a lot of the Facebook stuff is intentionally trying to leverage against that, right, and trying to exploit it. But the issue happens even in current gaming, right? Like kids spend too much time playing games and never get outside, and that's going to get worse. But like there's the core of the issue is something inside of us, right? And that is something that
I saw a study
we need to quickly address. That this has nothing to do with, it'll just get worse as technology gets worse, as it gets more powerful. Sorry. Yeah.
I read an article today that came out in the New York Times, and I think it was a doctor or somebody saying the new studies that they have, and it's all intuitive. We know this, but it's about children, mental health and success later in life, all has to do with more play and keeping them kids longer, because we especially here in the West, in the US, middle class, upper middle class families, we're always trying to push our kids to be adults, to succeed, to play, travel, whatever, just to be successful and to keep them on schedules that sets them up for success. But what they're saying now is let them be kids longer, let them play, let them explore, don't push them. actually studies show, because they've had enough time now to say that makes them a more successful human being later in life. And so, my hope and my desire, and hopefully what I try to do, is use technology to enable those type things, meaning, maybe kids don't need to be in school from 6 a.m. until 4 p.m. Maybe technology will enable us to give them more time to play and to explore and to be outside and do those things. So these are all things that I think we're going to be debating for the next 20 years. Certainly. Hopefully we get better at it.
Well, 2022, we'll see what, by the end of the year, next year, when we do the end of the year, we'll see where we are in the metaverse. But if things have progressed a little further, or what the next new thing is. But,
and if you want that sweatshirt,
yes.
Oh man,
winter is my season.
Winter's my season.
Mm-hmm.
Win the sweatshirt. It's an awesome sweatshirt. We'll put a little bit more information.
All
about
you
it.
have to do is post about our podcast and make sure you include the hashtag winter is my season and hashtag Agency Exposed podcast.
Pick a
and
winner.
we will
Agency
find it.
Exposed.
We will scan it. We'll find it, and we will track you down and give you
Pick a winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's right.
love it.
All right, guys.
All right.
Until next time.
Hey.
Until next year.
Yeah. Have a happy Christmas.
I think this is is this
Happy
the last
New Year.
one?
It might be the last episode of the year.
If it isn't, you guys.
If not, we'll get a bonus.
We get a bonus, but
Yeah.
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 Sounds good.
All right.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye bye.